What's up guys, Hardcore Hector here with another tech product review, and this time I have the GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. Now it's a pretty cool camera if you use it in the right situations, but I feel most video reviews out there, and sometimes even written reviews, don't give you the information you need if you are very unfamiliar with GoPro cameras. Now let me give you a quick backstory first. I started doing YouTube videos a few years ago, and I started shooting video on my Motorola Atrix smartphone, and then I upgraded to a Logitech webcam, which I've been using for a while. But I wanted to take a next step up and shoot 1080p 60 frames per second and not be tied to a computer, but I also didn't want to pay an arm and a leg for it. So I kept hearing about these GoPro cameras, so I thought, hey, maybe I can use this for personal use as well as outdoor use and all that stuff. So I bought the cheapest or the oldest version that was capable of 1080p and 60 frames per second at the same time. And so this is the Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. As I said, they have Hero 4s now. And what most people don't mention is the fisheye lens on there, which always distorts the picture. And yes, you have different field of views. You have ultra wide, medium, and narrow. But no matter what field of view that you use, there will always be a slight distortion there. And still, even if you ignore the distortion, the video quality isn't that great in medium to low light settings. It seems like these cameras are only useful, or they're made for outdoor use in bright settings. And I'll even give you a little example. I'll shoot this exact same video with this exact same lighting using the GoPro camera. Alright, so this is the webcam shot, and this is the GoPro camera shot. Exact same lighting, exact same spots, just different cameras. So this is 1080p, 60 FPS, but I'm going to have to scale it down to 30 FPS right now. And this is the medium field of view. I'll show you examples of the ultra wide and the narrow a little bit later in the video. Now let me get into the actual specs of the camera. The camera is incredibly small, measuring 2 1/4 of an inch wide by 1 3/4 of an inch tall by almost 3/4 of an inch deep. Or for those that like the metric system, it's 6 millimeters by 4.2 millimeters by about 2.1 millimeters. There are only 3 buttons. A button on the front for power and mode selection, a button on the top for selecting menus and capturing photos or videos, and a button on the side to turn on your last used Wi-Fi settings. You can also go to the Wi-Fi menu in the settings menu. The side of the camera has a micro HDMI port, a mini USB port, and a micro SD port. This camera supports micro SD cards up to 64 gigabytes, but they must be class 10 speed. Of course, the camera does not come with any storage, which means you have to buy a micro SD card if you want to use this camera at all. The mini USB port can be used to connect accessories to the camera, along with the Hero port on the back side. There are a ton of accessories for the GoPro cameras, but the only ones that come standard are the waterproof housing, which remains waterproof up to 131 feet or 40 meters, curved and flat adhesive mounts, quick release buckles, and a 3-way pivot arm. The mini USB port can also be used with the included mini USB to USB cable to connect the camera directly to the computer. Once it's connected, press the power button to access all the files. You can simply open up the micro SD cards folder to copy photos and videos onto your computer, but you cannot delete them unless you use the GoPro apps or the camera's own delete option using the front LCD screen. The mini USB to USB cable can also be connected to common USB plugs to charge the camera using an outlet instead of a computer. All the different options and modes will be displayed on the small front LCD screen. The navigation is pretty easy to get the hang of, or you can download the free GoPro app on your smartphone to control everything and even get a preview of what you're shooting. Without the GoPro app or a separate viewfinder accessory, you will not be able to see anything you're filming or photographing. Setting up the GoPro app is incredibly simple. All you need to do is download the app to your smartphone, turn on Wi-Fi settings on your camera. The Wi-Fi settings are in the settings menu. Select the GoPro app on the camera's Wi-Fi settings and select On. Then select the GoPro camera in your phone's Wi-Fi settings. If you registered your camera and updated the firmware, you probably gave it a name and a password. The GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver has a video mode to record videos, a photo mode to take regular pictures, a burst photo mode to take several pictures in a single second, and a time-lapse mode to take one picture at set intervals. The video mode can record at select resolutions, frame rates, and field of views. They are 1080p at 60, 50, 30, or 25 frames per second using the ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view, 960p at 60, 50, 30, or 25 frames per second using only the ultra-wide field of view, 720p at 120, 100, 60, 50, 30, or 25 frames per second using the ultra-wide, medium, or narrow field of view, and WVGA, which is 848 by 480p at 120, 100, 60, or 50 frames per second using only the ultra-wide field of view. The resolution of photos are 10 megapixels using ultra-wide field of view, 7 megapixels using ultra-wide field of view, or 5 megapixels using medium field of view. The burst photo options are 3 photos in a second, 5 photos in a second, or 10 photos in a second. And the time-lapse options are 1 photo every half a second, 1 photo every second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds. As I mentioned earlier, the video quality is pretty decent in bright settings, but gets really grainy in medium to low light settings. There are no options when recording, which means all lighting and focusing is automatic. All of this footage is taken at 1080p, and I'm just walking around at different light settings. But here are some examples with the camera in the exact same spot with different field of views. This is the ultra wide field of view, still 1080p. The medium field of view, camera is in the exact same spot, and the narrow field of view. Just to reiterate, all of these shots are at 1080p and the camera hasn't moved one bit. The photo quality is great, but only if the camera is completely still. Holding the camera almost always ensures a blurry picture, but sometimes you get a little lucky. The only microphone on the camera is on the very top, so you'll want to keep your fingers away from the 3 holes. The audio isn't too bad when up close or when wearing the camera with an accessory, but don't expect to capture decent sound from too far off. I hope this video helped you make a decision on buying GoPro cameras, or at least the Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition. And if you found it useful, you can give this video a thumbs up and share it if you know anybody who's thinking about buying a GoPro camera.